Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are actually doing something special. But before that, I want to bring up this comment that actually inspired me to do this in the first place. This one is by Jane, who has been around here for a very long time. A couple of personal notes. I know you said that you didn't want to do the World of Remnants, but unlike character shorts or music, they were released in episode order and are clearly intended to be watched with the show in that order. They are very important, and though you can experience a good show without them, it's much better with them. And for that reason, we are doing all of the Volume 2 World of Remnants today. And since I looked at the wiki for this, and it turns out that the first four released in Volume 2 and after the first four episodes. So I figured, okay, this is actually the perfect time to watch them, right? Because this is literally when they came out. So if they really are that important to the show, that will add so much to the show, then I guess, I could do it. I mean, I've discussed this in the comments before, in the Discord before, about whether or not I'd be watching it. In the end, I said I didn't want to watch it because at the end of the day, they're supplemental material, and I didn't want, I didn't want supplemental material to affect the main show that I'm watching. I usually like to consume that after I'm done with the show. But if they really do add a lot to RWBY during its runtime, then I feel like, okay, I can watch this early and see if this really does affect the show, because these were intended to come out at this time. So releasing this means that they expected most RWBY fans to know this information moving forward. So maybe this information will be directly relevant to Volume 2 stuff or stuff Volume 3 moving forward. So that remains to be seen. But I will say I'm a little critical of supplemental material because they can be non-canon, they could be like trivia, or they could be surprisingly useful information that wasn't in the show, and then I'll be like, why wasn't this in the show? So yeah, there's that. But also, I'm going to have to do a lot of freaking note-taking, so I guess we're doing that today. And then continuing this comment, second, I understand your schedule is not favorable and that you also want to do other things. I even understand that currently these are underperforming. However, I think it's self-defeating. The distance between reactions is killing RWBY in the algorithm. I'd suggest either increasing the rate of RWBY reactions now, or pausing them till Volume 10 is imminent and blitzing them, taking advantage of the traffic. Either way would treat you far better and get you closer to the viewership you deserve. Well, first of all, I appreciate the sentiment that you want me to succeed in the algorithm. Problem, I don't really care about the algorithm. Yes, I would like money. I am in desperate need of money, and I want to build my channel to grow into more than what it is so far. Right now it's still a baby. It still doesn't have all the stuff that I really want to do with my activities. Sure, but I have had experiences chasing trends and chasing subs before on older channels in my past life, and I didn't like it. I eventually killed my desire to keep doing it. Well, part of it at least. It's true that my old channel has at least twice the subs that I have now, but I'd rather make more videos on this channel than on that channel, because the stuff that I put on here are fun. There are some videos on here that I made that I kind of feel like I maybe shouldn't have made, like the Wuthering Waves reaction, right? Because it just felt like, okay, let me just chase some trends real quick. Because I was already interested in coming back to Wuthering Waves, but I was like, okay, let's just casually watch this. And then the negative reaction in the comments, it was like, it really like told me a lot about what would happen if I continued down the path of making this type of content. I know there's so many things I could react to. Oh, I could react to All as the movie. I could react to Ghost Stories dub unhinged moments. I could watch to Amazing World of Gumball out of context. I could watch internet historian videos. I could watch Bill Wirtz. I could watch every, every trailer ever of insert video franchise. I could react to all of this, but, instead of doing all of that, I'm just like, this is filler content, RWBY is content that I want to do, but then a video like, reacting to this trailer, that's just a filler content to fill in the gap between the videos I actually do want to make. And then live streaming, I've been having a lot of fun live streaming lately, but like I said in one of those streams, whenever I try and stream a lot, I just end up not making videos. And when I'm making a lot of videos, I'm not streaming a lot. And I'm just like, God, how do I find this balance? But at the end of the day, I find finding that balance really fun to do, really fun to chase. So while I appreciate the idea of actually caring about how the videos are going to perform, which, and these suggestions are good, by the way. Like, yes, the distance between reactions is definitely making this series less, like, underperforming. And if I were to hold out until Volume 10 is announced and then just blitz through it, I would definitely, gain a lot of traction from that because I'm riding the hype train. But, like, the way I want to consume RWBY is just slowly over time. That's it. I don't feel the pressure to, like, watch through. I don't feel the pressure to binge it. I don't know why. RWBY feels very different from a lot of the other shows that I watched. Because I like to binge shows. But RWBY just feels like, how do I say? It's like a companion series, A companion series to the growth of my channel. And just the growth of me as a person. I don't know. Maybe it's because I took so long on Volume 1 that I just developed this, like, interesting relationship with RWBY. And so it's cool that I can space these out as I'm growing my channel. But my goal is to get it to be around once a week or once every 2 weeks. And I don't want to create a break that's longer than a month, But my goal for next year, for 2026, is to finish RWBY Volume 3 and RWBY Volume 4. So I hope I can achieve that. It's very exciting. Yeah. Anyway, I've rambled on a little much here, but yeah, thank you for leaving the comment. And also thank you for watching my stuff for a very long time. I appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get into World of Remnant. This is Episode 1, Dust. So I guess we'll learn more about Dust.
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 By definition, it is a naturally occurring energy propellant that can be triggered by the aura of humans.
Oh my god. Oh jeez. My brain is gonna get overloaded by the end of this. I'm already overwhelmed. So, okay. This is very... Okay. So, my understanding of Dust before... You know what? Let me just open my notes. So, I have Dust under Magic System. Dust has different elements that do different things. Dust has different forms, which may affect its usage or effects. Dust is stored as crystals, canisters, and powder. Dust is volatile when damaged, can explode. Fire, water, lightning, energy. Dust is energy, has elements. So my idea of dust right now is this ore that you could probably find in the earth that do elemental things, has elemental properties, can be stored in different ways, and have different effects based on how you use it. You could use it in your weapon. You could just use it as is, perhaps. You could probably use it as a bomb. You could probably use it as a bullet. You could probably use it as a battery. And that's as far as I understand dust. So here it says it's a naturally occurring energy propellant that can be triggered by the aura of humans and faunus. I like how they specifically mention humans and faunus, because they make up the human population of the world. I guess. I guess human would be an umbrella term, because faunas are human-like, right? They're so human, in fact, that, well, calling them faunas almost feels like an othering method, but at the same time, they appear to have their own identity and culture, so I guess there's that. So dust specifically reacts to the aura that people have. So, for example, a GRIMM probably can't use dust then because they don't have aura. Not to say that a GRIMM would have enough sentience to do that, maybe, but who knows? But so in theory, a GRIMM cannot make use of dust because it just won't trigger. Is that right?
And faunas. But in reality, it is much
It's way more than that. Okay.
Found in 4 basic forms, dust can be...
Okay, so fire, water, earth, wind. Where's lightning? Okay, so we're going by our classic 4 element, and these are its basic forms. So they come in specifically 4, but you can combine them to form more types. I see.
Dust
Artificially and naturally, so you can also forcefully do it, maybe like through science or something.
Types, each with unique properties.
Unique properties.
Since its discovery, man has concocted a multitude of ways in which to harness the powers of these mysterious crystals.
Okay, so right. Dust, the form of dust comes first as a crystal. Then from there, you could probably turn it into a powder. I wonder if you could turn it into a liquid. Or a gas. Whoa. How does that work? How does dust interact with the 3 states of matter?
Dust has made
From airships to androids. Right.
its way
So
into
it's just
every facet of technology.
it's everywhere in tech.
Some prefer to use dust in its raw form. Elegant, yet destructive.
Okay.
Those who choose to wield dust in this
Hold on. See, that is lightning. How do you get lightning? How does lightning dust work? Which matters do you have to combine? So you can just use it raw. You can just use the crystal, and it's probably just strong and volatile. That's probably what it is.
state must possess a certain level of discipline to ensure that their resulting powers do not break
Right.
free
So it's
from
dangerous
their
to do
control.
that. So that's why we harness it in other
Dust
forms.
ammunition serves as a more
Yeah.
practical
Okay. Yeah. So
application in today's
turning into
modern
bullets have
society.
been way more
With the technological
normalized.
advancements in weapon design, warriors need simply choose the right cartridge for the job and pull the trigger.
Okay. So it's safer this way.
While this has become the standard method of use, it is not uncommon to find individuals still practicing more archaic forms
Oh?
of dust manipulation, such as weaving it into clothing, or even fusing it directly with their own bodies,
Wait.
or even
Wait. That's so cool.
such as
I don't remember if I've brought this up before. I think I have. But the fact that it's confirmed that you can put it into clothing is freaking awesome. So, ooh, that's so creative. Oh, I'm so looking forward to this. Imagine you have like a flaming cape or something. A flaming cape, or you have rock boots, or you have like a glider that's fused with wind dust. Imagine like it can create currents for you in the air. A water sword, you could be Tanjiro. Huh, this is so creative. Wait. Ooh. Ooh. So they come in elements then. Ooh, so this is... I'm hesitant to call it a harder magic system because... I don't know. But they have rules to it then. If dust comes in 4 basic forms, but you can combine them to make different elements, that means you... Oh my god, I want to see... I hope that there's a table that shows what happens when you combine different ones together. What happens when you combine fire and water? What happens when you combine fire and earth? Fire and wind? And then all the other permutations that happens. What happens if you fuse 3 together? What happens if you fuse all 4 together? Will it have different properties if you fuse it artificially and naturally? Is there slight differences there? Does it change the quality of it? Or its potency? Ooh, okay. This has opened up so much more. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. But also,
weaving it into clothing, or even fusing it directly
this.
with their own bodies.
Fusing it with your own body. I imagine this is the most dangerous version, because using the crystal on its own is already dangerous, volatile, but strong. I imagine the risk is even higher if you put it into yourself. But you could literally become, well, not to say a bender per se, but you could harness the power. It could be a second semblance. Think about it. What if the risk is that you probably die, but if you survive it, you gain a second semblance where you could like Loki manipulate the element that you infuse yourself with. Maybe not on a higher potency level, but like a little bit, you know? So it still kind of hacks. Oh, think about all the factions that could exist in this world. You know, a group of people who really hone in on the clothing weaving. I don't know, what would you call it? Dust weaving or something? I don't know. You'd call it something cool. But there's like a faction of people whose whole thing is they haven't unlocked their semblances, so they use the clothes. Or a faction of people who are like extremists and they believe in like they don't believe that you should harness dust in processed artificial ways. You're like, no, you gotta use it natural, and then just stab it into themselves, and they're like, this is the true way to use power. And then they kind of go a little crazy, they go a little corrupted from all the power. What if they turn into GRIMM? What if overexposure to dust is what turns animals into GRIMM? Whoa, you're exposed to so much energy that it saps it away. What if you stab the crystal to yourself, the crystal absorbs the aura you have, and it supercharges the crystal, but it drains your aura. So it's either you have to live with that thing in you now, or live with that thing in you, and it's basically like a symbiosis. Or it's another risk of using this where you do supercharge the crystal, but in exchange for all of that, I don't know. Ooh, you know what? I wonder if dust has anything to do with the GRIMM. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that yet. But yeah, speaking of factions, right? I just realized there's going to be a group of people who haven't unlocked their semblances. Like, sure, John is one of them, but he actively goes to a combat school. I mean, he didn't before, but he does now. So I assume he'll unlock his semblance eventually. But what about those that maybe couldn't afford to go to combat school? Do you have to pay to go to combat school? Or is it free? Is it free education? Do you, like, what? Do you need papers to get it? Do you have to be a citizen of the kingdom? Is there even citizenship in the kingdom? How does that work? If you move here from a different kingdom, are there papers? Can you enroll yourself into this school? Transfer students exist, yeah, but we know that for just the tournament, though. They temporarily come here to prepare for the festival. Wait, they come here Why? Wait, what? I guess travel between kingdoms must have been really hard then. For example, if I'm not wrong, Cinder and Co. say they're from Haven, I think, when talking to Ruby at that time, saying that, oh yeah, we actually just transferred here. It's for the tournament. And then Penny is also here from Atlas, right? She wasn't created here, right? And she doesn't live here normally, right? She's from Atlas? Because she was created there? And so she's staying here because she says she's gonna be in the tournament. What's the process there? Like, it's months now. Look, it's months in advance. These students probably have to go to school here for a very long time before they get to the like. Am I misunderstanding? I feel like I'm missing some info. I feel like I'm misunderstanding something here. Because why would they transfer so early before the festival unless travel between kingdoms was so difficult that they have to do it in advance for this long? I don't know. I never thought about that. Well, if you can tell me anything that's non-spoilery, then do let me know in the comments. But anyway, back to the thing I was trying to talk about. People with no semblances, I wonder if they rely on dust then. Imagine someone who hasn't had their semblance unlocked, but they're still like a really strong huntsman, or they're someone, they're like an assassin or something who didn't go to combat school, but they still take up odd jobs and still fight GRIMM or fight other people, maybe a bounty hunter who relies on dust and dust weaponry and dust clothing, but doesn't have a semblance of their own. Man, think of all the cool characters you could come up with. Oh my god, suddenly I'm really interested in the idea of a RWBY TTRPG campaign. I would love to make a homebrew RWBY campaign. Alas, I'm already running separate ones right now, but that would be such a cool idea to put into the future. Ooh. Oh, you know what? Wouldn't it be fun if I could get other VTubers to like play a RWBY D&D campaign with me? Oh my god, that'd be so fun! Although, I don't know any other creators in the space, unfortunately. I haven't really made connections yet. So, hey, I mean, if you have fun creators or VTubers that you think I would enjoy watching, then you could drop their name in the comments, and maybe we could collab in the future. But who knows? I haven't had a collab before, so it's all very exciting. So anyway, let's get back into it.
Despite working, fighting, and even turning a profit with it, humanity has still yet to understand
so there's still
how
some
dust
mystery
came
to it.
be. And more importantly, how their involvement with dust will ultimately change the world of Remnant.
So we don't even know where dust came from. We know we get them as crystals, probably from mining. I mean, maybe the Shnee Dust Company knows something about it because they're the dust company, right? They probably have children working in the mines or something for emeralds, Like, okay, so it's established that we don't actually know. We know where to find them, but we don't know how they're formed, right? Huh. Okay. I wonder if there's something insidious going on with the Shnee Dust Company. I wonder if they're... Oh, imagine if it's like they secretly siphon aura from real people and put them into the crystals and then sell them. And then so the dust is literally made from souls. Or is that too obviously evil for a corporation to do? It's like, oh, you failed to pay off your debts? Well, looks like you'll be turned into a crystal. No. Wow, I spent so much time on this first episode. This gave me so much insight into dust. Now I'm just excited. Now I'm just excited for all the ways dust could be used. It's exciting. Let's move on to the next one. This one is titled Kingdoms.
The world of Remnant is a dangerous place, particularly for man. In the countless years that
RWBY
humanity has roamed
monsters.
the planet, civilizations have grown and fallen, but 4 have withstood the test of time.
Okay, 4 kingdoms. I don't know if we knew this before, but it's confirmed that other civilizations... That place looks like a dragon. Do you see this? Am I just seeing shapes? Is it just pareidolia? Looks like a dragon. Anyway, I got distracted. What was I trying to say? Now I'm looking at the other shapes. I'm like, is this a jellyfish? Is this like a snake? Like, what's going? Okay. I was gonna say other civilizations have risen and fallen. So I'm curious if they have dove deeper into this world building by it's like, do we know about other kingdoms that have existed? Four exist now, but I wonder if we ever learn about other ones that might have failed before. Perhaps there was one in the past that was really successful until tragedy struck. And then that became history that people learnt from and never repeated again. That's a layer of world building that I would appreciate to see here, but I can give it a pass if they didn't flesh out on it, because it's probably not important to the story. But it could be. It could be. That could be a major imagine a character has a backstory that involves themselves with, oh, I am a descendant of someone who is royalty, but from a now destroyed kingdom. Like, there's so many cool ideas you can come up with that. Oh, this one looks like a fish. The bottom one looks like a fish. Atlas? Mistral? Vacuo? Veil. Okay, we've heard these names. We've heard of Atlas, obviously. Ironwood is from there. And that's where all the military stuff comes from. Mistral? Let me check my notes. Okay, we did hear about Mistral. That's where Sanctum is. And there's the Mistral Regional Tournament. That's where... Is this where Pyrrha's from? Is Pyrrha from Mistral? Okay. Veil is in the center. This is where we are. And then Vacuo was the one that was in the card game that they played, right? I think so. Okay. So let me try and guess the tropes here. Wait, there's 4 basic elements of dust. What if these 4 represent a different element? We need a desert nation, we need a snow nation, we need a... I don't know. I mean, what is even Veil? The default nation? Spring? The one in the east might be the east one. Our resident Asian influenced region. Top one is probably Snow Russia. Left one is it can't be Western because Veil is in a desert, and every region needs a desert. Every world needs a desert region. And it's usually on the left. we have islands. Oh, yeah, are there any... Okay, so if this is the map, looking at the geography, is this Australia? Is the one at the bottom here Australia? Usually when you put stuff on the bottom corner, that's usually an Australia thing, right? I'm just trying to look. Is there a Southeast Asia location? Where do boats even go? Like, okay, so Veil is here. What, bro, this place is super jagged, by the way. Like, there's so many jaggedness to this. So much jaggedness. I don't even know. It's like it's broken, It's like, what happened when the continent split, man? Like, hello. This map is really difficult to understand. I'm not gonna lie. I've never seen a fantasy map like this before. Okay. But cool. 4 kingdoms, they're like this. Nothing's in the south, huh? I would have expected perhaps even maybe the island at the bottom corner here to have a kingdom, but no, that's not a kingdom. None of them are on islands. Well, except for Atlas. Well, would you even count this as an island? It's still pretty big, actually. Veil is right in the smack center of this place. and then vacuous all the way on the other end of it. So you could walk there. You could travel there, perhaps. Or I think it might be faster to take a boat shortcut in the middle. This dragon continent doesn't have anything either. So that's a big landmass. This is bigger than the Atlas landmass, though, and there's nothing on this. This on the right, Mistral, is next to water. There's actually this nice, like, big. I guess it can't be a lake at this point. There has to be an ocean in the middle there. An ocean right in the middle of the continent, huh? Or no, it can't be an ocean. It's a sea. It's a sea, I think. A sea is smaller. I don't know. I don't know my bodies of water. I'm sorry. Also, how big is the world to scale? This doesn't look like Earth to scale. This looks like a smaller planet. So I guess that makes sense. That the scale is weird, because it's a smaller planet then. Wait. So where is... So, Beacon is in Vale. Sanctum is in Mistral. Where is Haven? Okay, well, whatever. let's just continue.
These 4 kingdoms, with the help of natural barriers. And
Natural
human
barriers.
tenacity,
Oh,
have
the
proven that they have the will to
geography.
survive.
Okay.
Each
I'm
kingdom
surprised
has a
they
governing council to
considered
represent
that.
the people and their needs. Next comes the
All of them
military,
have a
while
council.
most kingdoms only call on its citizens to serve when needed.
So I wonder what the politics of each kingdom are. I wonder if they're all different or they all have a standard procedure. I mean, if you want to be unique, all of them should have a different variation of the politics. But the fact that every kingdom has a council means that there is standard procedure, but they probably do things slightly differently.
Military. While most kingdoms only call on its citizens to serve when needed, others find it important to be prepared. There are still those others find. While most kingdoms only call on its citizens.
Most kingdoms call on its citizens to serve when needed. Right, so it's just regular conscription to the military. While others...
to serve when needed. Others find it important to be...
Do you mean others as in plural, or... Because I assume they're talking about Atlas, because that's clearly the military one. But when you say others, it just might be a turn of phrase, I don't know. So... This is implying that they don't conscript regular people. I assume they militarize the combat schools. That would make the most sense. You're already training soldiers, but instead of letting them loose into the wild as like hunters, you just make them military. Like they're soldiers, right? So you mobilize the combat schools as your soldiers. But for what war? When you make armies and you fight against monsters, is that necessary? Well, we don't really know the full extent of how terrifying these monsters can be, right? We haven't seen the worst of the GRIMM, so maybe Atlas is doing the world a favor by having such a dominant force of military, because it really helps people around the world. Like, if they weren't doing their thing, then perhaps GRIMM are more common. I don't know.
Prepare. There are still those who choose to venture outside the walls.
Okay,
of
so
the
we got some
kingdoms.
wanderers. Yeah.
Roaming nomads and
Nomads.
small villages are not uncommon. Yet neither is their tendency to disappear overnight.
So it's risky to be outside of a kingdom.
The huntsman.
That makes sense. Monsters, you know.
These institutions' sole purpose. the Huntsman
Academies. Right.
These institutions' sole purpose is to
Sole
train the next
purpose.
generation of huntsmen. The next generation of defenders that will live and die to protect the lifestyle that they've become so accustomed to. Yes, the world of...
So, the academies are a system that consistently provides defenses to the kingdoms. My question is, does that mean that the kingdoms could be under attack by the Grimm? Because I'm wondering, because from the impression that I get, Grimm aren't exactly smart. They're about as smart as the average animal. Well, even saying that, I'm generalizing a lot. But a lot of Grimm look like they're just like kind of hanging out. The Grimm that Ruby fought in the Red trailer, she approached them just hanging around. The next time we see Grimm, we're in the Emerald Forest, where I assume they were put there. Well, they were either put there by the Academy, the Kingdom. No, the Academy. Or they just naturally live there. That's their habitat. And so, because the test takes place in their territory, they attack you. They attack them. Oh yeah, the other time we saw Grimm after that was Port having that boar in class. He captured it. And then the next time we see Grimm, we haven't. Have we? That was the last time we really saw Grimm. The fucking Badge and the Burden episode. I wonder if this is a lie. I wonder if it's propaganda. That the Grimm are dangerous, but really they're not. They're just animals. We technically have no reason to believe that Grimm are a problem. Ruby wipes shop with Grimm. And the team in episode 8, we handled that really well. Sure, there were some fumbles, but they weren't major fumbles. It was just, okay, they're still students. This is the first time they're in battle together. But they crushed it. Everyone was badass. And Weiss didn't have that much trouble fighting the boar. All it took was understanding its weakness, and it was over. So technically, we have no reason to believe that Grimm are actually even dangerous. They're about as dangerous as walking into a wasp nest, or taking a baby cub from a fucking mama bear. Like, it really, like, you know? Like, we're taught that, oh, the Huntsman Academies, we train fighters. What is an adorable girl like you? You know, you want to fight monsters. Oh, we need to defend the kingdoms from the Grimm. Look, because they're not fighting. They don't look to be fighting each other, are they?
To protect the lifestyle that they...
Although they might be fighting each other, because we do know wars exist, but not war with Grimm, wars with people. It sounds like people are just the problem, not Grimm. Grimm are just there. Like, if you live out there in the wild, you have a small village out there, but you don't have ample protection, you're gonna get run over. That's about as bad as they can get. Like, oh no, you're a small village with barely any fucking defenses? Well, GG, your village is gonna get overrun by monsters. But if people do it anyway, if there's a regular flow of nomads, then it can't be so bad that every time a new village pops up, it just disappears. Like, it takes a while for a village to pop up. You can't build a village in a day. And enough people seem to do it that them being destroyed, while common, isn't happening at such an alarming rate. It doesn't seem like it. So really, GRIMM could be very aggressive, but it's not like they actively siege kingdoms. It's not like Attack on Titan, where we have to constantly defend the walls. I wonder if it's propaganda. If there's something about it. If there's some insidious goal of militarizing the population for something. Ironwood already does this with Atlas, right? They just told us. And they clearly have some secret that they're hiding, the adults. Queen has pawns. That can't be Cinder. Can it? Cinder looks strong, but she doesn't feel like she warrants so much force against her. Because she's shown to be powerful and competent, but it feels like if you're good enough of a fighter, you can match her in combat, you know? I never got the impression that Cinder was untouchable. That it's just that she was strong and competent. The Queen could be a bigger threat than Cinder. Perhaps this is the red herring. We think that the Queen is Cinder, that her pawns are Torchwick, Emerald, Mercury, but when in reality, Cinder too is a pawn of a larger game that Ozpin, Ironwood, Glinda are playing. And Crow too. Because he's the one that sent that message, right? And that because Ironwood and Ozpin are the heads of the academies of both of their respective kingdoms, I wonder if it's the same for the other two kingdoms, about the one in Mistral and in Vacuo. They all have a pact where they need to militarize their nations, their kingdoms, in order to fight a bigger threat that exists in the world. Some sort of deep evil, a demon king, if you will. And they train generation after generation of defenders. Even though GRIMM, well, while they can be a problem, they don't feel like an endgame threat, do they? They're legit just creatures in the world. I don't know. It's them aliens, man, I'm telling you. It's them aliens. Oh. Okay. Maybe I'm cooking too much here. Cooking too much. I'm gonna burn the pot.
Yes, the world of Remnant is indeed a dangerous place, but the four kingdoms stand as beacons of hope, as safe havens from the darkness that surrounds them. They are the key to mankind's
They're the
survival,
light in darkness.
as long as they stand united.
Ooh, I got goosebumps. Well, that's ominous. So, divide and conquer. Well, I mean, that is kind of what Cinder's doing, right? She's going to cause internal conflict within Beacon, and in turn destabilizing Vale. Look at all the dust that Torchwick has stolen and whatnot. And then turning the White Fang, which are, you know, a completely separate group with separate interests, turning them into their allies. That will cause political unrest. Political unrest, a shortage of dust, and internal conflict within the academy. There's something going on here. Someone or a group of people want to destabilize the kingdoms. They want to disrupt the connection, the alliance between them. The alliance between the headmasters. But why would they do that other than to disrupt what their plan is? And if their plan is militarizing the kingdoms for a bigger threat, then nah, I'm suspicious. No, this one World of Remnant has made me think of some crack ass theories. What is this? What is this? You think you're slick, do ya? Okay, this one is episode 3, titled GRIMM. Oh boy, I'm sure I'll have my GRIMM questions answered here. I'm scared. I'm terrified.
The creatures of GRIMM. A ravenous, destructive force that covers the majority of Remnant.
Wait.
A ravenous, the creature.
Right, I forgot. Whoa, hold on. I just got 2 different realizations that happened all at once. This is the same narrator from episode 1, right? Because I was gonna say, the creatures of GRIMM, that sounded familiar. Oh yeah, episode 1 narration. They said that the enemies of humanity were the creatures of GRIMM. But then I completely forgot, because we keep calling them GRIMM, but the narrator says the creatures of GRIMM. What does that mean? I feel like there's a difference there between calling them GRIMM and the creatures of GRIMM. Who the fuck is GRIMM? Is GRIMM a person? Or is GRIMM a force? Is GRIMM representing evil and darkness? The creatures of GRIMM, the dark. Or is GRIMM... Are they pulling a fast one on me? Are they trying to trick me by adding something in plain sight? Adding spoilers in plain sight? Is the big bad that the headmasters are trying to defeat GRIMM? From the GRIMM, the Hollow Knight boss from the GRIMM Troop DLC? That's an appropriate name to represent a darkness. I might be reading too much into it. I'm sorry.
Of GRIMM. A ravenous, destructive force.
Yeah, they're a
that
force.
The majority of Remnant.
Huh.
While often referred to simply as GRIMM in the
I was just talking about this.
These beings serve as the greatest foe to mankind. For as long as humanity can recall walking the surface of Remnant, so do they remember this wicked force. Many ancient cultures believed the creatures of GRIMM to be animals possessed by evil spirits.
So that has been
or
in
perhaps
consideration.
The spirits of tortured animals themselves.
Because they are animal-like.
However, further study, as well as the discovery of newer, more horrific forms of GRIMM, does not support this hypothesis. With new creatures discovered...
So, with discovery of more monstrous-like creatures, they're like, no, they can't be animals. Because they look like animals, they resemble animals, but you're saying that these are too sinister to be animals. There's something at play here. Like, some of these are horrifying. They're not just animals, they're monsters. They're legit, like, SCP alien creatures, right? Is that what I'm getting?
Every day, scientists perpetually find themselves with more questions.
Like there's no rhyme or reason to them.
While very little is known of their origin, some key facts have been observed.
Ooh, okay.
First and foremost, the GRIMM exclusively attack humans.
So they're human-phobic. I wonder it's because they have aura. Because GRIMM don't have aura. I wonder if they exclusively target things that have aura, living beings. Because GRIMM are darkness. GRIMM represent darkness. But also death. It's light versus dark. Life versus death. I just recently talked about this, right? Life versus death. Death envies life. Life is terrified of death. Huh. But it's also their creations. Do they go after structures as well? Anything that bears the essence of life, anything that is creation, they are destruction. Light versus dark, life versus death, creation versus destruction. Maybe that's more accurate, because death and life doesn't make sense and they're creations, right? If they attack things that aren't alive, like structures or technology that don't exclusively have aura in them, perhaps it is a more creation destruction thing, where they represent a destructive force, while humans represent creation and the continuation of, well, they represent survival, while the GRIMM represents annihilation.
Their creations. While occasional skirmishes between wildlife and GRIMM have occurred, these instances appear to be based on territorial provocations, rather
so
than
animals do
need for
tussle with them,
sustenance.
but it's not because they want to. It's a territorial thing.
In fact, the common belief is that the GRIMM are not obligated.
Oh no,
to
it's the Attack on Titan shit again.
They choose to.
Wait. Oh, no, sorry. This is the common belief. This isn't scientific. This could be propaganda. Well, maybe not propaganda per se, but more like a myth. Because Grimace are terrifying. They're the natural enemies of humanity. They've been at odds with humanity for centuries, right? Ever since the early ages of humanity, they've constantly been at odds with us. I assume we've never tamed a GRIMM. It's impossible, because they seem to instinctually attack humans and everything we create. And so, then the myth comes up that GRIMM are terrifying. GRIMM are monsters, they're not animals. They're something, they're not just creatures, they represent darkness. They're not just monsters, they are evil. Oh, children, you better not go out at night. The GRIMM could be out to get you. No, we can't satisfy the GRIMM. No, they are evil. They're pure evil. They don't even need to eat. They don't even need to eat. They just kill us for fun. You know, it's that kind of like fear mongering. That's the word. It's kind of like a fear mongering thing of like, well, it's not that it's not warranted, because GRIMM are terrifying, but when you have something as terrifying as this, as something consistent, that even with the technology of modern day, we still can't expand our borders that much. It's like, there's only 4 kingdoms, by the way, throughout this entire world, only 4. That after all this time, we haven't expanded beyond 4. A 5th hasn't appeared, for example. It's like, that fear is ingrained. It's deep-rooted within the hearts of everyone who is born on this planet. From the moment you are born, you grow up, you're constantly taught that GRIMM are evil. They're monsters. I'd be surprised if there isn't enough hatred for GRIMM. You know? I feel like most people would hate GRIMM, because all they do is destroy, and all they do is target humans and what we make. And if they believe that GRIMM don't even need to eat, and they just do it for fun, or some other reason, isn't that more grounds to hate GRIMM? I feel like that's something we haven't seen. We haven't seen what people think about GRIMM. We see them fight Grimm, but the way they react has always been, oh, it's an animal, it's a monster, it's a creature, but it's nothing we can't handle. But I think that is strange now that you tell me this. When the common belief is that the Grimm aren't obligated to feed, that they kill for fun, and that they attack human creations, and they constantly attack humans, and that small villages are constantly wiped out if they go outside of the kingdom because of the Grimm, and that they've been an enemy of humanity since the start of time, don't you think that there would be more stigma against Grimm? I just think it would be a waste of world building if they don't consider this. People have been so neutral towards the Grimm. They're like, oh, that's a Grimm. It is what it is. It's like, yeah, they're used to seeing Grimm. It's an everyday thing, perhaps, even like for fighters, right? But I just find that, I don't know, I think there's untapped potential here. You could do so much more about the way people feel about Grimm. And that's another that's a world building tip of the day, by the way. You can have all these different elements, different factions, different creatures, different kingdoms, but what really differentiates good world building with great world building is how they interact with each other. What are the kingdoms' relations to each other? What do people think about the kingdoms they're in? What about different factions of people who can use different dust abilities? Are there people who feel jealous that they haven't unlocked their semblance? Are there people whose living conditions are so bad that they can't go to school for combat, so they turn to mercenaries, bounty hunters? Are there people who are sympathetic towards the Grimm? Are there people who ally with the Grimm? Do they die? This is not a thing because people constantly die when they try to do this. Have people tried to fuse dust with Grimm before? Because Grimm they don't have aura. Have people tried injecting aura into them? Is that possible? Can they transfer aura into a Grimm? I don't know. They can capture a Grimm. What happens? I don't know. I feel like there's so many things that you could they can overlap with or like interlay with each other. Like the interplay between the different world building tidbits with each other. All these questions that, half of them don't even need to be answered for the purpose of the story. But it makes the world better. That's what makes world building so much more than it can be on a base level, Like, these are all fun world building these are all fun world building elements. But it's stuff like this where it's like, ooh, the common belief is that Grimm are not obligated to feed. They just choose to. That stuff is cool because it implies so many things about the world. But implications are just implications. I would like to see more of this somewhere. I don't know. Again, it might be a crack theory. Like, oh, the common belief is just the truth. But I'm reading too much into it by saying that it's a myth created by humans because of their bias against Grimm. I don't know. Maybe it's true that they do not need to feed, in which that only fuels more about the idea that they're not actually animals. They're something other. They're just alien, They're not... They represent darkness, but what if they were born from darkness? Born from the darkness of people's hearts? I don't know, they're clearly more of a metaphor than anything. It's like Godzilla, It's like, yes, Godzilla is a result of nuclear, just nukes in general, right? And nuclear war. It's a cautionary tale. But Godzilla is still like a physical creature. Yes, it's a representation of nuclear war, but also it itself is a victim of nuclear bombs. So it's not just a metaphor, it is literally a thing, but it is related to the issue. So a Grimm could, on one hand, be a metaphor for darkness, or it could be both, where it's a metaphor, but also these are animals affected by darkness. I don't know. Maybe they might go environmentalist with this. I don't know. I don't know what the message of this show is.
they choose to.
But okay.
What is perhaps even more unsettling is the basis of their attraction. The creatures of GRIMM are lured towards negative emotion. In the rare instances when villages are capable of defending against a wave of GRIMM, their survival is not guaranteed, as widespread panic will only lead to more attacks. Little else is known about the creatures of
No, I'm troubled by this. Oh, sorry. No, I'm troubled by this. I'm troubled. Isn't this important? Like, isn't this... Yabakunai? Eh? Isn't this supposed to be really important information? Why isn't this in the show? When were they supposed to tell me this? Were they gonna tell me this in Volume 2? But this was supposed to come out during Volume 2, so I assume they don't tell you this. And you wouldn't have known if you didn't want this. The fuck? The creatures of GRIMM are lured towards negative emotion. This changes everything. Literally it changes everything. Okay, well first, okay, before I get into that, this only feeds to my theory that the GRIMM feed on the darkness of human desire. No, it literally does confirm what I just thought of. The GRIMM are born from the desire, the darkness in people's hearts. The GRIMM aren't the problem, it's the people. And as long as there's darkness in humanity, there will always be GRIMM. GRIMM is not the problem that can be eradicated. But if humanity is united and have love for each other, the GRIMM will be less of a problem. And that is reflected in this. The GRIMM are lured towards negative emotion, which naturally places the story on a path towards positivity, hope, kindness to each other. We have to be kind. We have to spread love. We have to be tolerant. We have to be accepting of people. Only then will GRIMM be less of a problem. Perhaps it can be a repellent. GRIMM are attracted towards negative emotion, but are repelled by overwhelming love and support and positivity. And so the GRIMM problem is only bad when negativity is exacerbated. So this actually tells you a lot about the moral of the story. It tells you a lot about the nature of the world. In that if GRIMM are the natural enemies to humanity, then this is the answer. That's awesome. Because that tells me the show is building towards this. The point of the show is positivity. There's darkness around you, but you have to have hope. And that hope is a natural enemy of evil. Huh. Interesting. Okay, now let's get to the part where I have a problem with. This is common information, and yet bullying still exists in schools? A school as prestigious as Beacon Academy. And Cardin was able to get away with his bullshit. The teachers did not intervene with Cardin. Cardin could whip his dick out in class and Port would just say, whoa, that's enough. Oh, Cardin could be openly racist in class and Professor Oobla can look at him and go, yeah, this is a problem and this is a problem with humanity. If you can't let go of your racist views, then you're bound to be unsuccessful in life. And then he just leaves him. Did he get counseling at all? Oh, when John gets bullied, none of Team Juniper or Ruby reported this to the staff? Or am I to believe this was also off-screen? Because they didn't have budget for this shit. Hello? Grim or lured to its negative emotion? Society would be crafted differently. Can you think of it? Imagine, is Alice a fucking 1984 George Orwell surveillance state? Is there any kingdom out there that tried to be super like surveillance authoritative because they're like, you cannot feel bad, you cannot feel sad, you cannot feel angry, you have to be happy all the time? One of those fucking dystopia Doctor Who episodes. Oh, in North Korea, you aren't allowed to be sad. Right? I imagine imagine if there was a kingdom in the past that tried to do this, that tried to force their people to be happy, but because of that, on the surface, everyone looked happy, but on the inside, they held such deep sadness and deep resentment in their hearts for having to be forced to do this, that even though it looked positive on the surface, the Grimm completely swarmed the kingdom and took everyone out. And that is in history, and that is now learned in schools of being like, you can't force people to be happy because it has to come from deep down. You can look happy, but if you still feel sad on the inside, if you still feel troubled on the inside, the Grimm can still sense that. So it's bad to do that kind of surveillance state. And so now they don't do that. But let's take more healthy steps towards preventing crime, towards preventing, society. What do you mean racism is that bad in a world where creatures of Grimm are lured towards negative emotion? Oh, we hate faunus because of their fucking animal features. Dude, furries exist, don't they? Oh, you're telling me someone is subhuman for having cat ears and a tail? Are you fucking kidding me? The Grimm could come here and kill you. You're telling me the society accepts racism? Like, why? Bullying exists in a major school and the teachers barely do anything about it. Racism is such a huge problem. The White Fang rule through fear. They get their equality that they wanted because of fear, right? Blake said that. They were peaceful before, but now they're like violence. And then it's working, like, oh, they're respected, but out of fear instead of like actual like respect, you know? And you're telling me they all do this, knowing that if they did this, your kingdoms would be in risk of danger. Are they trying to say that humanity will just self-sabotage every chance they get? I don't know. I feel like a world where negative emotion will literally bring physical monsters to your door would be a different society. I'm not saying it should be a surveillance state or anything. I don't mean people are forced to, like, oh, there's a happy meter, everyone has a happy meter. There should be systemic procedures to handle negativity. What do the government, or rather the Council of Vale, do with racism? For example, against the White Fang. What are the kinds of systemic procedures are done to ensure that racism is at an all-time low? Do you allow, like, systemic racism is going to be a bad thing to happen in a society like this. So it could be individual racism instead. That's the problem. Or bullying, for example. You know, there should be systems in place that ensure that bullying doesn't happen on a systemic level, but it could still happen on an individual level. Or you could say crime. Why does crime happen? Is there a population of people who don't have enough and they're living in poverty and that they feel the need to steal, to do crime, otherwise they won't survive? There should be systems in place to ensure that the people's needs are met to reduce the risk of negativity as much as possible. It doesn't get rid of crime ever, but it reduces the risk of it. So what I want to know is, are the kingdoms doing their damn job in making sure that they can reduce the risks of negativity, or are they letting this go buck wild? Oh, a wealth disparity. Oh, a wealth gap. Class gap. Oh, there's, like, is that a thing? I don't think we know so far whether or not there's like a huge class gap. No, we do know. The Shnees. The Shnees have controversial labor forces, questionable business partners, and they're a huge company. And they just get away with it because they're a huge company. With money, perhaps. Is capitalism a thing? Do people own capital in this world? I don't know. It seems that most of the land of this world is unusable because of the GRIMM. So I don't think capital will be popular here because you need defense. You need to spend a lot of money on security to make sure that your assets are safe. Maybe it's unrealized gains, or maybe it's like magic money, imaginary money, where it's just what you're worth rather than what you. It's what your perceived value is. It's like most billionaires nowadays. It's like they're not literally worth that much in cash. It's just what people think they're worth. I don't know about that yet. Maybe we'll learn about it in the future. There's still so many volumes to go, right? But the Schnee Dust Company are allowed to be scumbags. Well, they're not allowed to be, but because they're scumbags, they're at odds with the White Fang, who is also currently under scumbag leadership. That's negativity right there. Do they care? Do they care about that? Or are we saying that the Schnee Dust Company doesn't care because they're too prioritized on something else? And that the White Fang don't care because they align themselves with GRIMM. They make GRIMM masks. They're like, oh, humanity wants to call us monsters? Then let the monsters come. I wonder if there's a faction that does that. A faction of faunists who are accelerationists who want to see society get eaten by GRIMM because they're like, okay, call us monsters? You want to be racist towards us? Fine then. Let the GRIMM come. Whoa, so much to consider. There's so much to consider. But this changes everything. The idea that GRIMM alert towards negative emotion is... That means that in any case of emergency... So, yeah. In rare instances when villages are capable of defending against a wave of GRIMM. So you're telling me that most villages who crop up outside the kingdom can't defend against the GRIMM. So why would you crop up a village outside? Is there not enough... Are the kingdoms not letting you in? Is there a policy against immigrants? What? Yeah, you know what? What are the laws for immigrants? What about people who come from other kingdoms, not for the school? Who are like, out in the wild alone, they're like, yeah, my family, our line of family is like, we've been surviving out here in the wild for so long, for all these centuries, or these past, who knows how many years, how many generations, but, we fled here because we couldn't live there anymore. Do the kingdoms accept them in? Or is there a stigma against nomads? Is there a stigma against the outsiders, per se? The ones outside the kingdoms? Huh.
In the rare instances when villages are capable of defending against a wave of GRIMM, their survival is not guaranteed.
Yeah, their survival is not guaranteed because of widespread panic. So, like I said, if these schools are professional and that the kingdom's council are professionals and that want the peace of the kingdoms, that want to avoid negative emotions to attract GRIMM, there should be safety procedures. In case of emergency, do not panic. If you panic, you will die. I wonder, in the case of an emergency, how are the general people going to respond? I'm going to be so annoyed or upset at the people if they scream and run. I understand that it's human instinct to do that, but when you say that the world building element is negative emotions equal bad because monsters, and that the kingdom wants wants to ensure the continued survival of humanity, and that we have an academy training warriors who fight against Grimm, that means that these warriors should be trained to keep calm in these scenarios, because any sort of negative emotion will strengthen your enemy in combat, because you could be overrun. So you should keep your cool in combat, and that's genuinely a lesson that they are taught in school. And then if I see people fucking scream and run when they're in danger, I'm gonna shoot. I'm just gonna. We haven't been in a situation where this is relevant yet. We're still in the safe confines of school. Nothing ever bad happens here, but the villains are here, right under your noses. What do they want? And when disaster strikes, will the Grimm come? Are the defenses of the kingdom enough? Because I assume kingdoms are safer because they can allow a higher threshold of negativity, because their defenses are higher. Villages outside the kingdom can't do that. They don't have that luxury. Everyone has to regulate themselves really well because they can't afford that defense. Kingdoms can. Therefore, they can allow a higher threshold of negativity, but it still puts a lot of pressure on the defense. You know, and it's a battle of attrition, right? How many of them are there? How many Grimm are there? Do we have a rough estimation of how many there are? Or are they practically endless? It just depends on what the source is. Do they reproduce? They don't feed, or at least the belief is that they don't feed. But do they reproduce? I don't know. Where do they come from? Who knows?
Guaranteed, as widespread panic will only lead to more attacks. Little else is known about the creatures of Grimm. Keeping them in captivity has proven to be an understandably difficult task.
So it's difficult to keep them.
The creatures tend to either die or kill those who imprisoned them in
the
first place.
They die?
To further complicate study, the corpse of a Grimm will only
live
for a short period of time.
So they're not made of normal things. Or maybe they're cursed. But again, this just feeds into my idea that these aren't real creatures. They are born from the darkness of humanity. So they're not physical creatures that'll stay around when they die. When they die, they die. And they disappear. Maybe they get reborn, they're reincarnated. It's an energy. You can't create or destroy matter. You can't create or destroy energy either, right? Or if I'm not wrong? No. This is the second episode in a row where I'm going to get science wrong. Shit. Nobody's going to trust what I say anymore. No, but, you know, what if, like, it's just one big cycle? Every time you kill a Grimm, a new one is born. Maybe that's what it is.
Before completely evaporating. Those who hunt the beasts for sport find this particularly upsetting, but manage to get by with cheap taxidermic recreations and bombastic storytelling.
Okay,
I see.
Although
the creatures of Grimm appear mindless, more delicate observation has proven contradictory.
Oh.
It has been noted that while younger Grimm tend to be more reckless, older Grimm, who have managed to survive their battles, have the tendency to learn from their experience and will exercise caution.
Well, that's not terrifying at all.
This perverse form of self-preservation allows the creatures to become more effective killers.
So they evolve.
In the end,
Ugh.
killing is all that matters.
Could you imagine a Grimm that's thousands of years old? That would be fucking awesome. That'd be like a divine beast from Breath of the Wild or something. Oh, imagine! Oh, I want to see one of those. Because we were able to handle Grimm now, but what if there's like a special, like, what if, you know, it just becomes like an SCP class at this point. It's like when a Grimm has survived that long, how powerful can they get? How smart can they be? The sentient Grimm! What if Grimm survive to a certain point, like they live enough years, they become human-like almost. They're like beast men. They genuinely have sentience, equivalent of humans. Intelligence equivalent of human, too. because they learn so much from their battles that they survive and survive and survive and survive. It's exceedingly rare, but perhaps there is a few out there that are human-like. They're beast men. They're almost like faunas, but more beast. I wonder. That would be sick, though. I hope that's a thing. Alright, finally, episode 4, Aura. This is a big one. This is a big one for me. I'm scared. I've already been recording for so long.
Huntsmen are
RWBY.
widely regarded as the world's greatest warriors. While skilled in a wide variety of weaponry and hand-to-hand combat, these champions are also masters of a much greater power. Aura. Aura is a manifestation
of the soul. We talked a lot about this last time.
That runs through every living creature on Remnant, whether they are a meager shopkeep or a renowned knight. However, what sets true warriors apart from all others is their ability to amplify and control their aura.
Amplify is interesting. I wonder if that's for combat purposes. Like, normally it's like chill, but then they can, so maybe the regular aura is something they emit. It's like, by being alive, virtue of being alive, you constantly radiate a certain amount of aura. But when you want to weaponize it or use it as a tool or as a semblance, you have to amplify it and channel it. Huh.
Aura is primarily used as a defensive.
Primarily
mechanism,
defensive, got you.
Passively coating the wielder in a
Passively coating the wielder in a protective force field. Okay, this confirms it. So it is a force field, as John said, but this is always on. As long as you have aura, it will protect you. And I assume the more you hone your aura, the better your shield will be. So to put it into video game terms, if you're just a regular person who doesn't have combat experience, you could probably survive a stabbing. You would probably take less damage because of aura. But if you're a combat student and you've honed your aura, your shield will have so much more health that if you were stabbed, you would get significantly less damaged. I like that.
Force field. It can protect a combatant from what would normally be a fatal blow.
Ooh, wouldn't it be cool if someone were to have so much aura that their power is literally being a tank? Because they have so much aura that they can literally deflect any sort of attack on them, purely because their aura is so strong. Imagine, someone doesn't have a semblance unlocked, but their aura is so strong that it's literally a force field that people can't break. That would be so fucking sick. Like, instead of making a semblance that, ooh, my semblance is barrier, I create a barrier around me that's a second layer of shield to aura. Boring. Have it be someone who doesn't, either has a different semblance or someone who hasn't unlocked their semblance, and they have massive balls, massive aura, and they fight with a weapon as usual, but they're almost invincible because of how much aura they have as a shield. Imagine. That would be cool. I realize a lot of my cool examples are people without semblances, but that is on purpose though, because yes, cool powers are cool, but if you're telling me that not everyone unlocks their semblance, you've just opened up a massive possibility for characters that don't have semblances, but they compensate in very cool ways. You know?
It does not, however, make the user normally be a fatal wound.
Yeah, so it can even protect from what would normally be a fatal wound.
Make the user invincible. As they receive more and more damage, their aura reserve will deplete.
It's not complete immortality because there's a reserve. It's a battery, you know? Which is interesting because it's a manifestation of your soul, but it can deplete and it can recover. I wonder if your aura gets sucked away from you, do you become a soulless corpse? You're alive, but you're not dead. You're alive, but dead at the same time. You're essentially in a vegetative state. If you run out of aura completely, you won't die. Your bodily functions will survive, but your soul is gone. In a way, it's kind of like ReZero. Spoilers for Season 2. Skip ahead like 20 seconds. It reminds me of like gluttony, eating someone's memories. And so what happens is they will still be alive, but they are in a vegetative state. They're in a coma, but they're still alive. Unless their memories are returned, they will stay that way. So I imagine this could be what happens if you run out of aura. You run out of your aura reserves, and then you won't die, but you lose your not only do you lose your shield, but you also lose your soul. I mean, I don't think that's how it works, but it would be cool if it worked like that.
Happens, all the fighter will be left with is his resolve. Fortunately, when a fight turns gruesome, a warrior can also rely on their aura.
Right, you also use aura for your semblances, right? It's not free. Is it?
Semblance is a term used to describe
a projection of aura into a more tangible form. Right. So it is, in a way, it is your shield. It is your passive, it is the manifestation of your soul that is a passive shield, but you can weaponize it into an aggressive state. And that aggressive state isn't necessarily something competitive. Rather, aggressive means more like intentional, precise, and that's what a semblance is. It's a precise channeling of your own aura, and that is your power.
Describe the projection of aura into a more tangible form. For some, this could be the ability to control objects with telekinesis. For others, it could mean superhuman strength. The power associated with a wielder's semblance is completely unique.
Oh!
Associated with a wielder's semblance is
the power associated to a wielder semblance is completely unique. So no person can have the same semblance. No, but the wording of this is a little strange. The power associated with a wielder semblance, not a wielder semblance, is wholly unique. The power associated with the wielder semblance. So I wonder if you could have the same semblance, but different forms of it. Like, let's say two people have the same semblance, ice manipulation, but one of them can just materialize ice, or at least control ice, but the other one can create ice out of the water droplets in the air. While they're both the same thing effectively, they're not the same functionally. But that is a strange wording of it, though. But the point being, everyone has a unique power,
is completely
which is pretty cool.
With enough training and focus, a user's aura can turn them into something much more than just a man.
Yeah, you're teasing Ospen there. What is his semblance? What does he have to do with aura? Ospen's such a mystery box right now. We don't know shit about him. Yeah, so wow, we're at the end. We're done. All 4 episodes of the World of Remnants that came out in Season 2. I hope you enjoyed that video. I've yapped for a while about this. I didn't expect to spend this long talking about it, but considering my investment into the world building and the lore of RWBY, this was expected. This was completely expected. So I just want to say thanks for supporting my journey so far. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this double upload. Bet you didn't see that coming, did ya? Well, it's more so to make up for the fact that I didn't post last week. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!